All right, we're live.
Looks like we're good.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. So what we're going to be talking about today is win-back sequence. So customers that have not bought in a while and getting them basically to get back into their ecosystem, or your ecosystem, I mean. This is more your specialty, Bradley, as when it comes to like info products and stuff like that. Usually people just buy those kinds of things once. So you could probably take it from here, brother.
Yeah, so in the e-com world, occasionally you have people who just don't buy in a while. Because there's some customers who will buy every so often, especially if it's a repeatable or a replenishable, consumable product. But even then, you may not have some. Even with not unconsumable products, you may also have people come back routinely and buy more of something. So the win-back flow, the win-back sequence, is designed to catch those people who have not bought in a long time. So people who are at risk of lapsing is the word. So I like to think of it like this because we've covered a few of these now in the past few weeks. Post purchase is like the first opportunity. If you think of it like a set of nets, post purchase is like the first one. That's your first opportunity to get the next sale. Then replenishment, assuming you have a product where that is relevant, that's like the next net to get them to refill, particularly, of course, for their specific consumable product. It's not necessarily to get them to buy something else, but to buy the same thing. And then after that, finally, is the win back, where they haven't taken those previous opportunities, nor have they bought from any of your like broadcasts. And so the win back is like that last chance to get them back into like out of the quote unquote lapsed customer category, which at that point, those people you don't want to contact as much because you want to try to contact them, but not as much because they're not as interested as people who are buying. So the win back flow, its goal is to get those people to buy again so that they re-enter the whole ecosystem. So some people mix up. People use sequences, campaigns, flows, auto responder right now. People use those all interchangeably. I think the terminology should be this: a campaign is a broadcast. There's a campaign email. A broadcast that is an email you type, schedule, and send. That is not an automated flow. There are win-back campaigns / promotions, and there are win-back sequences and flows. We're talking more about sequence and flows, the thing that triggers automatically based on criteria. But yeah, its main goal is to get people back to buying again from the brand. So that could be any product, but ideally, if you can, it could be the product they already got, kind of like a second chance at a replenishment flow, but it won't sound as much like a replenishment flow. So yeah, it's fairly simple. And actually on the info product side, there's probably a way to do this too, where if you have multiple products, they bought one and then they haven't bought anything else, then there may be opportunity there to do a win back. Or if it's like a continuity offer, if you have a membership community or something and someone has canceled, well, that's almost like that's as close as you can get to a consumable product for info products. So, or for like online products. So in that case, you could also run a win back sequence it'd be slightly different because it's like a win back sequence for a subscription offer, because that's what it is. But it would be more, it would still be like a win back sequence in that you're like, hey, here's what's changed, blah, 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 here, and we can get into some of the details of what's in a win back flow in a little bit, as I just alluded to there. But it could work for those as well. And yeah, it could work for info products if you kind of steer it towards like, you bought XYZ product a while ago, what's stopping you from the next product, or, whatever you need to do to get them to come back and make that next purchase. So it almost becomes kind of a bit like an upsell, cross-sell, win back hybrid. But yeah, that's its main goal. And yeah, that's what the win back flow does. It's that last net of trying to get them to buy, less automated net, so to speak, to catch them.
Yeah, and it's I think we've previously discussed this, but it's definitely much easier to sell to somebody who's already bought off you than to try to sell somebody cold, right? So Although these are people that kind of like are on the outskirts of your ecosystem, it's going to be a lot easier to sell to them than potentially people who have not bought anything off you yet, obviously. Do you wait a certain period of time generally, or does it depend more so on the product, you would say?
Kind of on the product life cycle. Like, you know, if it's if someone I like to use this as because it's a good extreme example, but if someone is buying a golf simulator, you know, spending $15,000 or whatever it is on one of those, you don't need to send them a win back campaign in 60 days, right? Like you just made,
No,
you know,
no.
15,000 or whatever dollars from them. If anything, you're probably going to have that would be a good opportunity to have a longer post purchase kind of experience sequence or whatever. Because obviously,
Yeah.
buy it, you might have people come and deliver it and then set it up for you, and then you might want a whole long series of post purchase or something, some sort of thing to go with the golf sim. Like the company I work with, they had like an online competitive thing where you could play against your friends over the internet, but on a golf sim. So there's probably opportunity like that wouldn't be a win back sequence at that point, but you might you might like if you have like a lower end product, you might later try to like, but that becomes more of an upsell cross sell flow. If it's something, but most products like again, like maybe buy a water bottle or something, it's still contextual. I worked with a brand that considered at 30 days if they had not ordered, it was that subscription brand I always talk about. They consider those people risk of lapsing, and so they would send a win back sequence of, and it's a subscription, so that means if they've canceled, if they don't come back and resubscribe within 30 days, they're now a
Yeah.
lapsing customer, and then we hit them with a win back flow. And at some points, we would hit them with win back campaigns too. But yeah, it kind of depends on the product life cycle. It's kind of one of those things that you kind of have to use your best judgment, knowing your offer, knowing your product, how long it takes to consume it, with all these kinds of things. But like I have just like standard default in my SOP document of 90 days is just as a placeholder there. It's kind of like it helps set a general range. But again, yours might be 60 days, yours might be 120 days. It's just, it should be a long enough time to where the other sequences have already gone to them, they haven't bought, and it's
Mm.
not like crowding them 3 days later with the win back flow after that. It should be some amount of time, but not too long, a couple months usually. Because they might buy within that time frame, and you don't want to be like getting them with a win back sequence unless it's clear that they're
Yeah.
not going to buy without some more communication. So, yeah,
Yeah, like your replenishment or reminder sequence to let them know that it's almost time to restock their now used up protein powder. You shouldn't be sending a win back sequence at the same time. That would be dumb.
yeah,
um
exactly.
Now, how do you normally structure these sequences? Like it's not like I don't know. Like there's probably not as much sales speak in it as much as it's just reaffirming their good judgment to have bought in the past, I imagine, right?
Um, I mean, there's some selling somewhat later on because you do want to. This is
Yeah,
one of the
harder.
deals
Yeah.
where I would advise having a discount towards the end if you like. This is one where it might make sense because if it takes kind of like with a new customer, if it takes a discount to get them in the door, some depending on the brand and products, but then you can make it up on the back end, then it's worth it. Then again, if you have to have a win back flow for tons and tons of people, that means you have a retention problem in the first place, which means you probably shouldn't
Yeah.
be trying to get people. But if you don't, your retention's already pretty solid, but you do want something to catch those people. Then you're not just like losing a bunch of you're losing only people who would be harder to get back. So you maybe want to use a discount. But what I like to do, I'll run through a few things here. What I like to do is start with just like a gentle check-in, like you know, acknowledging that it's been a while since they last ordered. Um, you know, hope that they're doing well on their journey, such as if it's health company, their health journey, their progress, all these things, and then just kind of reinforce what the brand is there for, and invite them to just like reply, like not like you can send them to the store, but you're not like buy now. You're like trying to engage in conversation first and foremost. I know like a standard operating or like a best practice for win back will be like, well, you start with this and you try to sell them right away. And it's like, I understand what you're doing there. And maybe that works for some audiences, but like if someone hasn't bought in 90 days and you just try to like shove a sales link in their face,
Yeah, it
some might
doesn't work.
buy, but it's going to be a small portion. There's probably some reason that you want to try to get that like conversation going, I guess you could say. Again, you can send them to your store. You can send them to go buy, but you don't have to like. you can just be like, and by the way, if you're still interested, here's our full product catalog or whatever it is. So I like to do that. But one of my favorite types of emails to do in these sequences is a here's what's new email. And this lets you kind of highlight ways the brand has changed or improved since they were last on board. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly accurate. Like I worked with a nonprofit that we built a win-back campaign, and it was like they since expanded operations to this this new large geographic area where they can get a lot more of the work done that they are working on, right? And obviously, that's news when it happens. That's news for maybe a few months, but in like 2 years, that's no longer like news, but it's still like an
Yeah.
accomplishment. And so having that in there is like something that's changed with the brand, right? Like, it could be, it could be new location like that, or it could be, you have new products, or you have a new and improved website. You could say that you have, maybe you got a whole new customer service team, or you partnered with, I don't know, like a charitable initiative or something like that. Like sharing things that are new that would be interesting to the customer without just like, hey, come back and buy again. You're trying to show them, because this
Yeah.
this not only it feels natural because it's like, hey, if it's been like 90 days, there's probably something that's changed at the brand, even if it's not like huge. But having that in there, it also helps overcome the like certain objections about like if they had a bad experience last time, but then they hear there's like new customer service and some new policy change or something, they might be willing to come back because they're like, oh, well, maybe they liked the product enough, but it was just not a great experience. So there's a chance that you're like overcoming these objections. And I
Yeah.
mean, or it could be like maybe you have a new product and they've been maybe you were known for one product, they got that from you, but they haven't bought in a while. But now you have another product that like they got from a competitor, but they like yours better or something. Now they can come back and buy. So um, you might even have like new free resources, like maybe put out a new free ebook. They're on your email list. Maybe that's your new lead magnet. But just because it's a lead magnet doesn't mean you can't just like send it to existing subscribers, right? Like that,
Yeah.
that's what you do when someone gets on your list. You send them the lead. You can send it to an existing subscriber too if it's new since they've joined the list. So that could be another thing. So what's new at the brand? What are things that they would genuinely find more interesting or more helpful? Show them around there and send them back to like the website. You could send them back to the store with the excuse that you're sending them to the website to check out everything new. But again, you're not hard selling just yet. You're trying to show them around. From there, I like to do some testimonials, some proof, like I do in basically every sequence. And this one's a little tougher because these are people who already bought from you in the past, but haven't felt the need, or maybe had a bad experience or something, and so they haven't come back. So you do kind of have to you have to address some like initial skepticism kind of things, especially if things have changed at your brand. If there's something that turned them off the first time, there's some initial skepticism, almost like a new customer or a new lead who hasn't become a customer yet, who's still skeptical. But also, there may be people who you need to like hit on the importance of consistent use. It's kind of like a mix of new customer and replenishment flow. Like, especially if it is a product where the best results come from just like compounding gains, you might need to do that. And also customer service. If that is a strong point, obviously, if they leave because customer service sucks, you can't really like,
Yeah.
you're not persuading them. But if that is a strong point of yours, you want to reinforce all these other factors. And then after that, towards the end, last email or two is when I would want to introduce a discount. And one-time discount. You don't want to make it giant, I wouldn't think. My client did try a pretty big offer at once. It didn't really work that well for the canceled customers, but that's a semi different audience. But you'd want that. And then what I like to do is, it's actually, I've got this from Chris Orzakowski. He has something called the 92 word email, which I'm not going to reveal it here. You have to get on his list to get it. But it's basically like a really quick thing that asks them one more time, like, hey, are you passing on this deal right here? And then you just kind of say like that essentially in the email. It's supposed to be about 92. It's very short. And, are you passing on this discount basically? Because blah, 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 blah. Then you get them in the door. So really the win back, you're just kind of trying to show them what's new, how you've improved, remind them of what they do like at the brand, like the good things, and then check in with them and try to get them back. Some people may buy off those first three, but I have a feeling that usually the discount's going to drive a decent number, because if people just like, if they're like not dissatisfied with the brand, but they just haven't felt much of a urge to get back, that 10% discount or whatever you give them could get them over that edge. This is one of those few places where, I don't use a discount in a post purchase. That's not a good idea. You want to just sell them on the next product on the merits of refilling, or on the merits of whatever the next product is if it complements it. Same with the replenishment flow. You don't want to offer them a disc, like if they bought the first product with a discount, like maybe it's their welcome discount and they got the first one. You don't want to give them another discount in every replenishment flow. You just want them to replenish based on the merits of using the product continuously, right? Same with in like abandoned carts, maybe abandoned checkout at the end. I think that's what I said a while ago, but really it should just be like the end of the abandoned checkout, a welcome sequence if you use a discount incentive, and the win-back sequence towards the end as well. These are like the few places in email sequences I would be in favor of using a discount. And even then, you can try to make a bigger discount, but it's always contextual. It's, how, like, are you accidentally training your customers who are being won back to wait for a discount again? If not, then you might be able to do that. Do you have strong retention in the first place? Like, if you're just using discounts as a crutch, you're always giving away margin. And so you only want to use it where like the potential future ROI justifies that lost margin right there. And that goes for welcome, abandoned checkout, win back, all that stuff. So yeah, that's everything that's in a win back sequence. Trying to think if there's any other ways I do it. I have a few examples of ones I've done in the past in front of me. So yeah. I mean, it's fairly straightforward. You don't want to push the sale super hard until the end when you're trying to get them back with the discount. So, yeah, I mean, again, if it's like like you're a non-consumable product, it was a belt, and so we checked in like, hey, how's the belt holding up? Like, is it blah 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 blah? Have you worn it with any of your outfits? Have you these kinds of things. So. Yeah, we've done things like that as well for non-consumables, but I mean, fairly straightforward, I would say.
Yeah, that's cool. There's something you mentioned there that reminded me of something that I was doing there for a little while. When you were like mentioning things that you were doing new with the brand, which is like your new lead magnets and stuff like that, because it's possible, depending on what traffic source you're using to get people on your email list in the first place, that they might miss your new lead magnets. So something that I used to do was announce the new lead magnet. So if I made a new email delivered course, I would announce it. It was very short email, and I usually used a bunch of gift emojis for the subject lines, and those were always my best performing emails. Always high opens, like clicks and like 10, 15, sometimes as high as 20%, which is insane, especially when your list is over 1,000 subscribers. And those always made me sales indirectly, because what I would always do is whatever I used as a tripwire, like let's say if I created a new PDF, new resource or whatever, as my new lead magnet, there was always something at the end that was the newer, bigger, faster, stronger way to get the results that lead magnet's supposed to help people, usually in the form of some kind of a low ticket product. So those emails are great for reintroducing people into your world. They're also very eye catching. So even people that haven't opened in a while, I've noticed that they'll start re-engaging too. And then because you're given with so much upfront value, you're basically using the law of reciprocity to your advantage. And then, yeah, you can make sales with it too, which is always not necessarily a bad thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, now that I have this other win back I did open, there's a few other things I'd suggest. So the structure I just kind of laid out earlier was kind of like the standardized one I use, but as it is with any client, it's modified for the client. It's just like a general structure. Then, we might get rid of the discount emails if it doesn't make sense, or we might add one or two other types of emails in there that address different things. So like I said, this belt one, the first, what is it? The first email, we did basically what I said, where it's like, have you found the perfect outfit to go with it? Like, has anyone given you any compliments yet? We're like kind of already, we're reigniting like the positive aspects. So we're getting them to imagine, if it hasn't happened, it hasn't. But if it has, maybe someone was like, hey, that's a nice belt. Well, now they're remembering the compliment. They're getting the good feeling of, oh, someone complimented them on the thing they're wearing. So, or maybe it's become their go-to belt. So they always wear it now, and they can't leave the house without it on or something like that. So, and we kind of use like language that was like, because once you wear this belt, everything else feels like second rate, right? Like that, like you can't go back to something. We try to, we ideally would have wanted to sell another belt, but we didn't just do that later on because the belts were the more pricey things. They also had some accessories like wallets and other like leather things that are, still nice leather, but they're not a belt, so they're a little cheaper. But what we did in those emails as well was have recommended product blocks. So instead of just saying like, go buy now, it'd be like, here's some other, if you liked your belt, here's some other accessories or other pieces that go well with it. And so it's still like selling, but it's kind of like we've already reinforced like that they enjoy their product. We're trying to get them to think good things about it. And then here's some other products that, you got a new belt. Now you need a new wallet, right? Or I don't know I can't remember if they sold like shoes or anything, maybe not, but like, something else like that, or even or like coasters or something. I don't know. They sold a bunch of different stuff like that, I think. But we also email 2 kind of did that again, but we also leaned into the mission a little bit. Like they're very proud to make all their stuff in America I can't remember which state, but in a factory based in America. Everything's made here. The materials are mostly sourced here. I think a little bit comes from Europe, if I'm not mistaken, mostly sourced here as well. So they kind of leaned into that as well. And then as we got later on, we got a little more short and to the point, like, hey, we also make these other products. They go well with your belt. And then we got to the discount later on. So similar structure. We didn't do as much like what has changed necessarily, but we did like reinforce the good things we're still doing. Like the fact that we make things in like that sets them apart from other brands similar to them. And then everything is made in America. Almost everything is sourced in America. And the few things that are not, it's only a small amount. And this, reinforcing that quality the whole time, because I mean, unless the person somehow didn't like their belt, which usually I would doubt that because the products themselves are high quality. Like they're like, oh yeah, I need another, belt or another, or maybe a wallet or something like that. So I don't know. I think at the time we just didn't have anything as well to go off of that was like, hey, here's what's new at the brand. So I kind of had to adjust and tweak that because we didn't have anything compelling enough at the time. So, but it's similar structure. I mean, you could even easily swap in a, hey, here's what's changed at blah 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 belts since you were last here. So same idea. I mean, there's not much to it. I'm looking at one more here. Looks mostly the same. This is an older one I did. Mostly the same. It's like 2 checking in emails and then 3 discount emails. So I've narrowed it down to 2 discount emails and more actual. So you want to try to reduce the number of that. But the pattern here is that they're all checking in, they're all showing you what's new or reinforcing what the customer likes about it. And then towards the end, discount if you need to get them off the fence, so to speak. And of course, if you can, weave in some social proof, especially focused on initial skepticisms, but also on the importance of consistency if it's a consumable product. So that's everything I think on Winback sequences. And also you do want to, if someone buys off of your Winback sequence, you want to filter them out from getting any more Winback emails. You want to make sure that they are taken out of that. And also like this flow, some other flows usually we'll set like, it's more for the browser or more for the abandonment flows, but we'll set it like a customer has not been in the flow in the last 7 days or something, because you don't want someone getting like that same flow 100 times. So you might want to do that as well. But I don't know if there's much else to that. I mean, I can talk about the difference, how like if you're going to run a campaign to a list of canceled customers, I can share an example here that we tried. I mean, it's like the same structure actually. Although this one I used a lot of memes and a really funny voice. because they wanted to get really, really like comedic and silly. So I had like gifs and stuff and funny like sign off names and all that. But the goal of this one was to like the goal of the one I'm talking about now. It was for that meal kit company was to try to basically make the customer laugh. Um, it didn't do like super well, only because nothing. Their canceled customers responded to basically nothing. But that's an example of why win-back campaigns you may not want to do as much as just getting the flow in place, fixing your retention, and that so that people never get to that lapsed spot in the first, or you minimize the number of people who become lapsed customers. The win-back, ideally, the win-back should not be catching a lot of people at all because a lot of them should be. Oh, Pete just dropped off. Well, and I think he's back. He's a black screen. So I'll keep talking anyways. Oh, there he is. Are you back?
Yeah, what happened there?
I don't know. Your screen's kind of choppy, like really choppy. Yeah.
Can you see me?
I can see you. It's just you're like
Yeah.
lagging way behind.
Crazy. Yeah, we've been having crazy from 5 degrees Celsius.
Oh, you roboting out there a lot too.
Can you see me kind of now or not?
Yeah, but you're like lagging and roboting a lot.
Yeah.
All right, it seems smoother now, I think. Yeah. Anyways, I lost where I was. Oh yeah, the win-back flow should not be catching a lot of people, ideally, because if you have a ton of people going through your win-back flow, that means somewhere up the chain needs to be addressed first, right? Post-purchase, make sure that's ironed out, replenishment, et cetera, your campaigns, all that stuff. The win-back flow is there just as a last resort. You'll get some people going through that, but you want to try to, the more people that never get there, that means the more frequently people purchase again and again, and which means cash flows are better, revenue, but all that stuff is better. And the win-back flow is only there as a just in case, which is why with the win-back flow, I don't think you should put it in until after you get the first two, the replenishment and the post-purchase. Do that after. So, you got your welcome sequence, you have your checkout and cart abandoned, then you get your post-purchase and your replenishment. Then you can move on to win-back and browse, or you probably want to go browse, then win-back, then site abandonment. So, it's somewhere in the middle in terms of priority, just because it's, most people should be being caught earlier on in the whole, like I think of it like nets, post-purchase the first one, then replenishment, then win back. And you can throw an upsell, cross-sell flow in there too. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else on win backs. I mean, I don't know I think we talked about this at the beginning. For like paid membership communities or any subscriptions, you could modify the win back flow to fit someone who canceled a subscription and try to win them back onto the subscription. For a membership community, when the only offer is that they pay on a recurring basis, a win back flow works almost the same. You could say like, hey, it's been, maybe it's been even 30 days. If stuff is always changing in the community, you're posting new posts, more discussions are being had. I don't know, you brought in an expert or whatever. Like even within 30 days, something new has happened. That might require more of a campaign than a flow, but a flow could talk about like big changes that are made. You can go and adjust those every so often, or adjust the copy and email sequence. But other than that, a win-back flow works essentially the same. You may not want to offer a discount because you don't want to keep discounting your recurring offer. Pete's frozen again. I'll keep talking though. Oh yeah, but then if it's like a subscription box or something like that, if you're selling one of those, it's going to be modified a little bit to try to just win them back onto the subscription itself. It's going to be a little more subscription focused because you also have one-off products, if that makes sense. So, like what, it'd have like, hey, just checking in, like it's been a little while since you canceled your, subscription box. And then you probably talk more about like the conveniences of being able to pause and modify and those kinds of things. So that's what makes that a little different. But other than that, I mean, I don't know if I have too much else to say on this. It's a fairly simple sequence, and Pete's internet is really struggling. So, I mean, Do you have anything else you want to talk about in regards to win-back sequences? Is there anything I didn't cover?
Uh, from what I heard in the last 5 minutes, yeah, I think we covered most of it. Sorry, the internet's been cutting out. We're under tornado watch here. I'm sure you
Oh
can
yeah, I
see
just saw lightning.
the the flashes of lightning here. It's been torrential downpour for the last 3 days. So yeah, it's been lovely. Um, but yeah, win back. It sounds like we covered everything.
Hmm. Yeah, pretty simple. I don't know if there's anything else to talk about in regards to win-back flows. So I mean, we can just call it there. And yeah,
Sounds good, buddy.
all right. Thank you all for joining.
All right, see you guys.
See y'all.